me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Friday, March 17th, 2023. Happy St. Patty's Day. Hopefully everyone survived the carnage of yesterday's first day of March Madness. Hats off to Furman. A lot of people were in the Furman lanes against Virginia. And I just stayed with our good friend and colleague, John Murges, and we were talking about Princeton. And listen, this was not a Princeton team of 10, 12, 15 years ago with Pete and you know, the slowdown, the backdoors, and all that. This was a different style. And I was listening to some colleagues. They broke it down real good. The preseason and the start of the year, playing the iron and showing everyone one style of play, going into the Ivy League and showing them another style of play. And now that they're primed for the big dance, and listen, I was down on Arizona all year. I was not buying what they were selling. There was no Sean Elliott. There was no Damian Stoudemire, no Aiden there. And I thought they were good. But if you go back to our timeline, I said, if you want to bet out West, you bet the UCLAs of the world. The Zags are rounding into form. I even talked about St. Mary's and USC. I never said Arizona. Were they supposed to win yesterday? Yeah, they were. There was absolutely. I have spreadsheets that had them scoring 90 plus. So I don't know what product they put on the hardwood yesterday, but it wasn't the product that everyone saw all year. But you wake up this morning, your feet hit the ground, you got another opportunity. You just got 24 hours here today to make a difference, and that's why we're here today. So without further ado, let's bring him in, the one and only, Mr. John Murges.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you, sir?
Well, 2-3 day. Not happy about it. Boy, you mentioned an Arizona game. Probably hear a few years down the road what really went on with that team. Do they have recreational marijuana in Arizona? Because those guys were high. I hate to put it that way, but I mean that was just a ridiculous outcome. There's no way that Arizona loses to Princeton, but it happened.
No, and again, I thought the whole world was on Furman. Virginia still had that game in hand. Just a brain fart by the long pass, picked off, dribble, one pass, shot, swish. Thanks for playing. It happens every year. And I've talked about this at length, John, and I want your opinion on this. I think the media has really hyped up the 5-12s, where every year there's at least 1-5 that takes a 12 down. But I think there's more meat on the bone with the 4-13s. I think people overlook the 13s, and I think you can find a lot more value on the quote-unquote 13s than the whole world being on the 12s. And again, there's a couple of them today that I think a lot of people will be talking about.
I agree. The media is hyping the 5-12s, and you make a good point about the 4-13s. I'm looking at today's right now, and when you look at a 5-12, I mean, St. Mary's -4 to giving 4 to VCU. VCU is a good club, and statistically wise, they're they have better numbers than VCU. As we talk, I always like to keep my eyes on these numbers, because here's when the money starts rolling in. It's almost 8 o'clock in Vegas. You have apps out east. and the money's starting to come in. Even the games tomorrow, I noticed some movement. Duke opened up at 2.5. Now they're -3. I think they'll go 3.5 Tennessee. But you make a good point. The media does hype it up, and don't we shouldn't put too much into the mainstream media as far as what they think. They're just reading off of cue cards. You and I are just having a conversation. There's no cue cards with us.
No, I got about 1,000 shows, and not one has ever been scripted, and not one will ever be scripted,
No reason for it.
unless someone's dropping two big bags for us, John. There will be no scripts here at East Coast Sports Investors.
Of course not. Of course not. It's the real deal. It's the way it should be done. We shoot from the hip. We go through our numbers. We look for value. It's hard to find value in these games, but I'm not seeing anybody, and Twitter's my main platform of social media that I use, and I'm not seeing a lot of people bragging about how great they did yesterday. And please, if you did, I'd love to see them. Yeah.
I think that's an amazing comment that you made there, because I am 100% transparent. We came into yesterday 4-0 plus 4.5 units. We started the day with the Maryland team total over 67.5. The guard makes the first free throw, clanks the second one. It lands on 67. That's how our day started. We had the over in the Arizona-Princeton game. Thanks, Arizona, for showing up there. And then we ended the day dead on arrival. We had the total over, and they didn't score for the first 8 minutes of the first half, and they didn't score for the first 5 of the second. Duke boxed the wire. So the bad news is the ECSI VIPs went 0-3. The good news is we wake up this morning still up 1.2 units, and it's a new, fresh day. So my question to you is, you take all your philosophies, you take all your formulas, your recipes on how you break these games down, and you look at yesterday's carnage. You're not trying to reinvent the wheel today, are you?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, the plays that I gave to any subscribers that they were put out 2 days ago. No, you don't try to reinvent the wheel. Listen, if you see some line movement or you get some injury news, yeah, you might have a different opinion on a play. But as far as things go, I'm more looking at tomorrow's games. Today I'll watch. The plays have been made, the bets are in. Now we'll watch. And then we'll, while we're watching, we'll start to look at these games tomorrow, and because Sunday's matchups will be decided today, as everybody knows, and we just stick to our process. It's key. You don't want to chase, and we never do. I know you don't. You just let it ride, and let's see what happens. And I expect a better day today. Just the way that history has shown us, and I'm sure you'll have a better day today too. But the one thing, like as you said, is that we want to be transparent. We want people to know what we're really doing and what our records stand at. And yeah, I agree with you, Jeff.
Before we get into today's games, you're bringing up great points, John. Tomorrow's lines are already out, and I am a firm believer everyone remembers what they saw last. Okay, yeah. So the sharp people, Vegas opens up the numbers, and in my eyes, they're always shaded to a way that in other words, if they want one side, they're going to make sure that they shade the line the correct way to get the side that they want. So before we break down today's games here and throw out a couple nuggets for everyone watching,
sure.
I got Kansas and Arkansas. Kansas is only -3.5, and these are all on DraftKings. So again, there is no way in holy hell they're not getting Kansas money on that game. We know that for a fact.
We know that for a fact. There's no doubt about it.
Duke is now 3, as you said, against Tennessee. Houston, 5.5 against Auburn. The guard, their leading scorer, did not play the second half. Will be a question mark for tomorrow. Texas, only 5.5 against Penn State. UCLA a flat 8 against Northwestern. Anything jump off the page there for you for tomorrow?
Yeah, as I look right now, the Duke game does jump out at you. It opened at 2.5, now it's 3. Tennessee, when you look up, as I do, when you look at the matchup, and they're pretty close in scoring. Defensively, I think that Duke will play the better defense against Tennessee, thus the -3. Tennessee's, hard to predict, but that game I do like Duke. The other game that sticks out in me for tomorrow to me is Kansas only giving Arkansas 3.5. Boy, that seems low. How many 3.5? Come on, man. That game should be 6. And you know what? If I check my numbers, I bet you it's closer to, seriously, Jeff, I think it's closer to 5. I mean, we want to have a little fun here, but I mean, dude, what do we do? Drop 2 dimes on Kansas, 3 in the hook? And the money line, let's take a look at the money line. They're minus 190.
175.
Oh, you got
I got
175.
175.
Yeah, here in Florida, you see, we have the, now that I have a limited options as far as offshores, I'm getting the stuff that my buddy Eric Pauly's getting, limiting him to $30 on a March Madness bet already, and it's sick. That's a whole different show is what these damn sports books are doing by limiting people. Eventually you're going to run out of players. You're going to ruin your reputations. But no, that 3.5, I would listen right here. I'll let it go right here. Jump on it. Jump on that on Kansas. I'm going to call it an easy winner. And I usually don't do that, Jeff. You know me. But I'm going to look at it. It's an easy winner.
I just reading the market, and we'll have 24 hours to try to consume this. I'll just go on record and say the world in Kansas. I'll just tell you the total on the Duke Tennessee is 128.5. That's a Tennessee number. That's a low scoring affair, grind it out. So buyer beware on Duke there. I think now here's the 2 key games. The Auburn-Houston game with the injury for Houston and the kind of sort of home game for Auburn. I think the public will lean to Auburn. I think that'll be 5 by tip-off. And then I think, and I'm just going to throw this out to you, I think you got to, with a 5.5, I think you got to put Texas on upset alert here, the way Penn State was playing. Now, can they duplicate that for a second day? I don't know, but that number looks a little short to me as well.
Take a look at Penn State. That kid could shoot some threes from 7 points behind the arc. That was a matchup that I talked to a couple close friends about, and everything in that matchup pointed to Penn State. There was a mismatch. Texas A&M was going to have problems guarding. Now you play Texas, and Texas will play better defense. But I'm telling you right now, Penn State could be a team to be reckoned with. It did open up at 5.5. It's 5 now. So you see a little Penn State money coming in. Heck, that game could go to 4.5 by the end of today. What time is that game? 7:45 game tomorrow. It's an evening game. Penn State gets a lot of rest, and that can only help them. Texas, they average 5 points more than Penn State a game. That's why you get that number at 5. But I really believe that Penn State is dangerous just because of the outside shooting, and they'll play some defense. At this point of the tournament, if a Big Ten team advances, you really have to consider fading them because the Big Ten notoriously doesn't do very well. Maybe you'll get one team, back in the day, Michigan, Michigan State, even Illinois a few years ago. But other than that, you don't get many Big Ten teams in the Sweet 16, and that's what we're looking for next week. So the public, I shouldn't say public, but the average bettor will, or guys like us for that matter, will kind of fade the Big Ten. But I don't think Penn State's a team you really want to fade. It is a 2 versus 10, Penn State being a 10 seed. But like I said, they're dangerous. So watch out for Penn State. UCLA Northwestern. Yeah. It's another game I'm looking at. UCLA North. Yeah.
That was a flat 8. UCLA Guns Ablazing was a 14-0 to start the game. Thanks for playing. When unfortunately, the way the bracket's set up, I've been talking Houston and UCLA all year, and I can't get them into the finals. I can get them into the Final Fours. The bracket of hell, I said, out west with the Kansases, the UCLAs, the Gonzagas, the UConns, the St. Mary's of the world. Who last man standing is going to have earned that trip to the Final Four there.
Oh, absolutely. There again, UCLA, laying the 7.5 to Northwestern, Big Ten team. Is it an automatic fade? I just have that feeling that, UCLA averages 7 points more than Northwestern. The Big Ten had the most teams in. They're going to have the most teams out by the time we get to and that's, by the time you get to the Elite Eight, will there be a Big Ten team left? Me says no. But in that being said, Northwestern, I just don't think that this matchup it favors Northwestern whatsoever. UCLA can come out there and beat them by 20. Of course, Northwestern will try to slow the game down. Very, very, just the way they play. They like to dictate the pace. And see, there's somebody's calling you already. They've seen what we're saying here, and they're like, he's right. Jump on UCLA. All right, you got the app. Get it in. What do you got? 9 books now? Get them all in. All 9 books. Max bet UCLA minus this. You heard it here first. But, I'm giving too much away.
Hey, let's use that as a transition. You were talking Big Ten, and again, I was on the show last week or 2 weeks ago, and I was talking about USC getting no respect at all, and they were just doing what USC was doing and winning. Little hiccups down the in the tournament, the the Pac-12 tournament. Now, listen. My take on this, okay? My true number is Michigan State -1. It's up to 2. Shaded minus 15 cents, 13 cents. So next move might go to 2.5. Our friends at the Circa right now have it at a flat 2.37. Listen, I talk about, are you buying the sizzle or you buying the steak? Meaning this time of year, it's Izzo's Armies. USC on paper is the better team. So are you buying the team or are you buying Izzo and his Armies?
Now, one of the things we talked about last week was tournament coaching. And Tom Izzo is one coach that knows how to coach a team in a tournament. Plus, I was lucky enough to sit with Tom Izzo at Dick Vitale's big event a few years ago. And great guy, great coach. Michigan State. Without giving too much away, I do like Sparty. In this particular matchup, I like Tom Izzo coaching this team. USC didn't get any respect. Very true. But the Pac-10 was so damn weak. That's why that's happening. A weak conference, and you just can't fade Tom Izzo. I think that's a mistake. He'll have his guys ready to play.
I got turned on. I got the future. I had a future from way back. I talked in the beginning of the year,
Plus
early
350.
November and December.
Plus 350. I didn't mean
That
to
was the
interrupt you.
big.
Yeah.
That was the Big East one that Marquette ripped my heart out on.
Space
We
pen,
got
by the
them
way.
at like, yeah, we
I'm just
got
saying.
them anywhere.
I do this a lot when I'm thinking. The space pen, got to have it. I'm in bed writing a lot. Like the Seinfeld episode. You could write upside down with this thing. Here, you could have it, Jeff. I don't know if you ever saw that Seinfeld. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but no, that UConn future that you're holding. Correct?
Yeah, we got it anywhere from 14, 16, 18, 20. You could have got it at 100-1 before the season started. Shout out to Mr. Smooth, Mr. Sean Alvarez, good friends of both of us. Goes, is it bad that it's 8 a.m. here and I have already spoken with John Murges? Sean, before we went live, he said he was already on the phone with you. So we're just warming you up because we're going to bring you on here sooner than later because May's coming around the corner. We need them, Kentucky Derby futures that you're holding in your pocket real close here. We need us at ECSI in the world to know where you're eyeing some of the bigger races coming. And we bring Sean on the Fridays as it gets closer to Derby Day and obviously the Preakness and the big race at the end. But now I'm drawing the Belmont. And, of course, we try to bring him on for the oh, my God, my brain is fried.
The Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont, the Breeders' Cup.
Breeders' Cup. There it is, the Breeders' Cup. But where I was going with you.
Yeah, bring him on for every race. I mean, he's got the racing form up on his computer screen right now. I'm surprised he's texting. I've been sworn to, and I promised Sean that I would not look at our DraftKings golf lineups till tomorrow morning. Look, they're calling me already. Are you sure about that Michigan State? Yeah, I'm sure. Just text me. Yeah, but Sean, yeah, we talk almost every day. And now we're doing our DraftKings golf. It's golf season for us. We didn't have that many lineups. Hey, listen, Sean, he's the guy that puts the lineups together for me. I just get him in because no DraftKings, no DFS in Vegas.
Yeah, you can't get that DraftKings app in Vegas. Going back to UConn here. Here's what I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of today because I think, unlike last year, New Mexico State didn't wake them up. Rick Pitino woke them up. I think they take care of business. I think it's a bad matchup for Iona. Here's where I'm scared shitless. And call me crazy or call me whatever you want. I'm afraid of Sunday's matchup, UConn versus St. Mary's. I got UConn at around 3.5 there. It's a bad matchup for them because St. Mary's will slow this down, and we know UConn can go on droughts, and I can see first one to 50 wins that game.
Yeah, that's a good point. First one to 50, considering what these teams, they average more points. Between them, they average 154 points a game. But that said, St. Mary's will slow the game down. They force you to play at their pace. And with that said, UConn will. I agree. UConn will have a problem with St. Mary's. Let's get out of Iona with Rick Pitino. He's going to be moving on after this season. I think he proved himself.
St. John's.
Of St. John's, yeah. But I'm just saying that I think you're correct. 3.5 is a good number. Boy, you put that number together already with the look ahead line. You're gonna have to write that down and see how close you come, Jeff. I'm sure you'll be right on. 3 and a hook. I take notes as we do the show sometimes, Jeff, because you know what? I'm always willing to learn. That's one thing about me. I'm willing to learn. You got something to teach? I'll listen.
I like to say I know Coach Hurley's boys better than he does. I think 3.5, 4 is a nice number. I think that's probably pretty spot on. It'd be interesting to see if and when that does occur. A lot of people like VCU. A lot of people like VCU. They like the matchup. They think VCU will be able to dictate pace. Are you all? Let me see. My true number was 3.5 with a 121.5. It's now 4 with a 123.5 at Circa. Are you tilted to the left on the VCU side?
Yeah, right. And you know what? There's some movement. 122.5. You got that. Uh yes. The short answer, yes. VCU, I'm a buyer. Um, at just that number seems so low. You know, they're begging you to take St. Mary's, and I hate to use that term when the sports book are, but they want you. You know, those numbers are put up there with a psychological intention in mind, and not our psyche, the sports book. They're thinking they're they take into consideration. I know this for a fact because I've talked to guys in the back room. We know the consig. You know, they take where's the better going to go with this play, and they feel as though the better the better may takes at VCU, and there's good reason for it. So I'm a buyer. Probably won't cover, but these games are close, man. These guys are playing hard. You saw yesterday some of these games. It's basket for basket. They're just there's 18 lead changes, 19 lead changes. The tournament is so much different than the regular season, and it should be. But kind of like the NHL playoffs. You don't see that fast-paced, hard-hitting hockey in the regular season. They ain't doing the do or die playoffs. And this is the same thing. You lose, you go home. It's you spend the summer, you maybe get in the transfer portal. A lot happens, but there's teams that want to be in this. Now, when we look at the NIT, you'll see there's teams like take Dayton, for instance. They proved to us, and I don't watch much NIT, but I happen to watch that game. They proved that they didn't want to be there. They're playing in front of their home crowd. They have no interest in playing. North Carolina saying we're not going to play in the NIT. They reject the invitation. I mean, come on, why do that? Why not have your guys play and gel and work towards next year? It's like a bowl team in football saying, "Well, we're not going to play the Bahamas Bowl." I've never seen that happen. I mean, hey, let's get our guys a trip to the Bahamas. They had 7 wins this year. But yes, these games are going to be close. I think they're going to be close today, except for a couple matchups. It should be interesting.
And I'd like to add, for people that are just waking up this morning, and if you had a great day, God bless you. Good job. Now, don't run to the window and just say, "Hey, I was 5-1 yesterday, and I'm spot on. I'm just gonna double down now because I'm playing with their money." You're gonna wake up tomorrow hungover and broke. Trust me on that. I was talking to John before the show started. There were 5 team totals that came within a half point of the number. There was, how about this one, having the under in the Iowa Auburn game, and they score 101 points in the second half to get the over. These guys are so sharp.
It's crazy. I mean, the unpredictability. It's a brand new word. The unpredictability of these games is amazing. I'm watching guys, and I won't mention them, but really well respected guys that like I said, nobody's out there showing these big wins or anything. Sherapan tweeted what game was that? That Texas the was it the Texas game given 25 points, and there's a last second doesn't matter 3-pointer, and that place behind you kind of went silent. Yep, just a unnecessary 3, just a garbage 3. Boom. Texas doesn't cover. And it was pretty. I love that video. I saw like 3 people stand up cheering, and the other 300 just sitting there in shock. Which I feel bad for those people. Don't get me wrong.
We Thursdays at 10:30. It was no to ECSI group. Let's not put 5, 6, 7 shows together on opening day of March Madness because it doesn't bode well for most of the people there. And I'll leave it at that. And because I had every reason why a half dozen people couldn't come on yesterday. You get caught up in the madness and who wants to talk this, who wants to talk that. Leave me alone on Thursday and let it come catch me either on Friday or next week and we'll come back. So I'm kind of smiling and chuckling at this. I want you 20 years in Chicago in the Risk Room. Okay, as we wrap up today's show, because I want to give you a full hour to get ready for your first game and tip off. I want you to be the professor. We're here to educate with a little entertainment. Smile, chuckles here. Can you please tell Joe Public give them some real good advice for today, the rest of the weekend, and moving forward? Give them your day today if you were back in Chicago at the Risk Room after having a banner Thursday. How you're creating, what you're doing to say, hey, guys, no reason. We're going to open another line for you. Yeah, not a problem. Betsy, open up that line over there, will you?
Well, you know what? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set traps. We're going to, make things. No, what we're going to do is watch people back in the day when guys were up. Now they had, let's say, nobody had a bankroll back then, as far as the bettors went. And now I preach it. When I put out picks to give to the clients that I've accrued, I really like to tell them, if you're going to bet, and this is a mathematical answer, is that you don't want to bet anywhere more than 5% total in the day. And I like to keep between 3 and 4. Sometimes I'll go to 6% of my total bankroll. But as of right now, I'm working with a $40,000 bankroll. That $40,000 is money that I won from last season, and that's the bankroll that I'm working with. So, and I'm keeping my unit size at $200 a unit. Now, guys will come in and they'll be up 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 back in the day, and they'll just dump that $3,000 on 3-4 games, and then bet another $3,000. Hey, listen, if you're up $3,000 or $5,000, play with the house's money. Don't dip into your money. I mean, that's the first piece of advice. The second piece of advice I'd give nowadays is you're going to get into trouble chasing losses. I'm not gonna chase, and nobody should. But the books want you to. We love guys that we're chasing. We'd sit there and take calls, and the guy's down 10 grand, and he's betting 20, and we'd let him do it just because knowing that the odds are against you. But hey, listen, anybody who's up, just play with that house's money, and you'll have a much better time, because then you wake up in the morning, and if you lost $3,000 or $5,000, well, it didn't come out of your pocket. It came out of your winnings. It's the best piece of advice I can give, Jeff.
And I talk bankroll management. We talk about the general consensus, and again, everyone is different. We have Andrew McGinnis on now twice a week. He gives out information and picks on Wager Talk, and the average play is 2 to 3 units, 2 to 3% of your bankroll. Then he'll say 4%, and his big plays are 5% of their bankroll.
Yes.
For me, I've always said, hey, every game's the same game. It's one unit, whether your unit size is $25, $250, or $2,500. We'll step on the gas accordingly once in a while with a 1.5 unit. But if you are, and the sad thought process is, I got $1,000 in my pocket. So if I told the newbie that wants to come into the waters, your bankroll's $1,000. Okay, you need to go to the window and bet $25, $30 a play right now. They look at me like I have 10 heads. They're like, I'm 100 $150 player, Jeff. Don't insult me. What's 20, 25, 30, $35 a play do? That's exactly
Yeah,
my
that's the
point.
answer you're going
You're
to get. A
playing
lot of people are.
150, you're playing 10, 50.
No, it's true, Jeff. And you
The
really you.
problem
Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, the problem is here. It's the ego.
Yes.
Okay. Don't insult me with a 25, 35 play, but they don't understand this. They go to the window and play three at a buck or a buck and a half, and they go 0-3. And next thing at 150 a pop, well, it costs you 165 a pop. Your bankroll's already cut in half. So you are now already chasing with half the bankroll, and you'll never get to that 25, 30, $35 plays. Now you want your $500 back that you just lost on the early games. You'll be toast by Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you try to avoid. And people don't like to hear it, and people, it's the ego thing. You can't have an ego in this business because you're going to have losing weeks and you've got to be able to weather the storm. And if you can't, you're going to be done. And, you're in some cases be in trouble. And that's what we try to keep people out of. Just try to keep them out of getting into trouble. But we could preach it, and we'll keep preaching it. People don't want to hear bankroll management. People don't want to hear, limited, play. But that's what made me successful. That's what makes you successful. That makes with everybody that we know. That's what kept us in here. We're doing this 41 freaking years, man. Um, like I said, I've never had a real job. Although those years back in the risk room in Chicago, as Rob Mish stated, those count for about 30 years in any other business. You could tell by the bags under my eyes, man, they're just getting worse. Lack of sleep because of just reading and checking everything out. But listen, brother, we're going to have a day today. I have a really good feeling from our earlier discussion. We'll have to just come on one day and just have that discussion so everyone can hear what we talk about because all we're talking about are the games.
On social media, everyone can find you at Murges, John. You have a great, great following. I can't thank all your loyal followers. They come on here, they listen. Shout out to Mr. Smooth, Mr. Sean Alvarez, and Marty Lowe today for jumping in to the DM discussion. John, as we close here, I always give the ball back to the guest. And you're not a guest, you're part of ECSI. You're co-host with me as we do these shows. Tell everyone where they can find you, what you're offering, and if you have packages available, yearly subscriptions, if you're still taking memberships, where they might be able to find you.
Well, my goal was to get 100 subscribers, to be honest with you, and I got close to it, and it was for $900 for no daily, no weekly, no monthly. It's 2 years now that I offered, and you know what? Because of the show, I'll offer the same 2 years for anybody who wants to subscribe. Just contact me at my Twitter at Murges John, and I feel my NFL alone is worth $900, but I extended everybody for 2 years out of gratitude because it was overwhelming. The response, there's still people I haven't gotten back to, but it'll work out pretty good. You're going to follow me for 2 years and see what happens. I'll probably take on a few more customers, clients, but like to keep it low. I've got really good people, kind of vetted. Some people I had to turn down, and just because they wanted, NCAA or just a limited package. But I think you got to give a guy a year to let him show. And I gave everybody last year for free, just throwing the tweets out there. And I was successful. I plan on being successful this year. But listen, Jeff, good luck to you. Thanks for, having me on with you every week. I enjoy it. Yesterday, I got the new high-speed cable, high-speed internet. So I'm good to go, man.
Thank you enough. We want to wish you the best this weekend. I'll circle back to Wagons at the beginning of the week to make sure Thursday at 10:30 is a go. If not, we always can come back here to Fridays. Best of luck. To all the listeners, thank you. Enjoy yourselves. You have exactly 1 hour to the opening tip-off, and that is USC and Michigan State. As we speak, in most spots, we're now seeing money coming into Michigan State. I'm seeing 2.5s on the offshore market. Circa still at a 2 with a 137. So shop around there. And at 12:40, Keensaw State versus Xavier. And at Circa right now, 12.5 with a 152. I'm Jeff Dawson.
Or a Sherapan would say Oxford. Xavier. Oxford. Let me have Oxford. That was hilarious, man.
That was a good story.
That was. But yeah, really good luck to you today, Jeff, and all your investors. I think it'll be a good day.
It will be. Everyone have a good day. See you soon.